Forget.
I'm just looking to see when people started yet. Hello?
Hello.
And her willingness to seize it. While we would never say never, I'd genuinely be surprised if Suzanne ever pulled another club from her bag in professional competition, and maybe not at all. But the game will always be better if she stays connected. At that point, yeah. And I start to look at the picture. I lost my socks and dry them on the TV. I should have the ideas that like Tony was trying to say. I miss her. She didn't say that. But do it in a manner that no one else has ever done. And without the panic. Something like that. This happened. You know, struggle.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to informational session on the high school's remote learning plan for the fall. I'm going to give it one extra minute, and then we'll begin. Okay, we'll begin. I want to begin by saying that this session is going to be recorded, and then shared later to the school community. So if that is something that you're uncomfortable with, or you have to leave at any point, you know that there will be a link sent out in the coming days for tonight. So you can, if you're not comfortable with this, you can log out and get a recording. So we are recording for distribution. Welcome everybody again. I did want to just recap. We're meeting tonight to talk about the remote plan. Tomorrow evening, there will be one session, but we're going to break it down into two parts. We're going to talk about the hybrid plan and then the remote plan tomorrow evening in a similar question and answers in the same format. So lots of opportunities to ask questions, to learn more about our plans for the school year. And it dawns on me, last night I was with a group of high school ambassadors. They were running a drive-in movie event on the front lawn of the high school, and they had so many questions about school. And so as we ramp up, as we start to get closer to September 16th, the more we can get people together like this and spread the messages, I think the better off we'll all be on that first day. So welcome. So our first day of school is September 16th, and regardless of the learning plan. So we have a hybrid learning plan and a remote learning plan. The first day of school is September 16th. For those that have selected the remote learning plan, over this week, we are sitting with our guidance counselors to align the courses that were chosen last spring, to align them as best we can with courses to be offered in our remote plan through the GradPoint platform. Okay, all of our remote classes will be taken on the GradPoint platform. We are a school that has a number of years of experience working with GradPoint. This will start my 12th year as the principal and my 13th year as an administrator at Old Rochester. And GradPoint has been a staple at the high school for the duration of my career. It has come a long way also in terms of its engagement, in terms of its platform, user-friendly appearance, and really in terms of its style of delivery, of curriculum delivery. So it is something that I'm comfortable with. We are comfortable with as a school. We use it right now. We use it in regular years for a student that wants to take a class that we don't offer. We had a number of our students that are members of our DECA club, that's a business club, take some business courses last year as part of their club membership. We also have had students taking courses that we don't offer, whether they are electives or a course couldn't run. We had, for example, there have years past, we've had environmental science not run, so we've had students take on GradPoint. So there's over 400 classes on GradPoint, and we've had kids take them for a number of different reasons. Most recently, this past summer, students took GradPoint for their summer school. We've been doing summer school for 13 years, all through GradPoint. So it gives students the ability to recover lost credits that they've taken. So that's what we are working on this week. We are aligning the selected courses. So all of our students that last spring, regardless of the learning plan, they selected courses. We created schedules for a regular school year. Obviously, we are far from a regular school year. So we are aligning right now what you signed up for into what GradPoint can offer. And for the most part, there is good, proper alignment. There are a few courses that are not on GradPoint, but none of what I would consider the academic core. So that is a good thing. We will continue to be able to offer through GradPoint. We'll be able to offer college prep, honors, and advanced placement classes for students. So the level of rigor will be there. So I wanted to share my screen as we're now in our third iteration of the remote plan. We've made some changes, and it's all about trying to get this right. This is the first time we've done this, so we're trying to get it right. We're trying to come up with a plan that works for the students and works for our staffing needs as well. So we think we've got it now. I'm going to share my screen with you just a minute. So this is our remote schedule, okay? And it does mirror what our hybrid students are doing in terms of 4 classes a day, in terms of being in a cohort, and it also includes a different style of Monday learning. Okay, so as I did with when I described the hybrid, I will leave Monday till the end. Okay, so for our cohorts, we have students at Old Rochester are used to having 8 classes spread out over 2 days, and no one in their right mind takes 8 classes. We encourage our students to take directed studies to keep up with their workload. So no one fills their schedule entirely with 8, but most students are taking 6 or 7 classes at Old Rochester in a regular school year. We didn't want that to change. One of the goals that we had as we crafted plans this summer was we wanted to continue to offer a full experience for students, and that included rich elective offerings. So our students can expect the 5 core academic classes of social studies, English, math, science, and foreign language, and an additional elective class. We did feel like that was important for students to have electives. So different than our hybrid schedule, the hybrid cohorts are built based on last name, okay? So hybrid is truly A to K and L to Z. Cohort A is A to K, cohort B is L to Z. We have not made one change in cohorts yet. The requests have come, we haven't made one yet. So we are truly by alphabetical order. For the remote plan, okay, we felt like taking every other day of in the building, out of the or on GradPoint and off GradPoint was not a good formula for the remote learners. So we did create cohorts, but we have them on GradPoint every day. Okay, so we divided our our remote learning students into cohorts based on grade level. So grades 9 and 10 are in cohort A, and grades 11 and 12 are cohort B. And that immediately has caused some confusion for students. When they heard that, they said, oh, we have to separate the plans. Hybrid and remote, they are very separate plans, okay? Hybrid cohorts are alphabetical. Remote cohorts are grade level, period, okay? So if we jump to our schedule here, Tuesday, our students are used to having day 1 and day 2. Students know what that means, okay? Day 1 and day 2. Students will be assigned a GradPoint schedule, so they will have, and kids are used to hearing this, they will have a day 1 block 1 class, and they will have a day 1 block 2, block 3, block 4, and then over here day 2. So they're used to that type of every other day schedule. What we've done is we have broken the block into 2. So cohort A, grades 9 and 10, will be logged in to GradPoint with their GradPoint supervisor, who is an Old Rochester Regional High School teacher. They are supervising GradPoint, and they will have their assigned class. So let's just say I'm a 9th grader. This is my cohort. I'm in the remote plan, and my day 1 block 1 class is world history. That is a typical, traditional 9th grade class at Old Rochester. World history. They're taking it on GradPoint at 7:30. They log into GradPoint and they join their Zoom with their supervisor, okay? And their supervisor takes attendance and sets them on their way in the world history class. And they start taking their world history class. They take it from 7:30 to 8. Between 8 and 8:10 is a changeover where they check back in with their supervisor, make sure that they're making good progress, and then cohort B joins GradPoint. So that is the 11th and 12th graders. That's their block 1 class. Block 2, same thing. You have to log in. We take attendance, okay? One of the things I'm really worried about for students that think remote is what last spring was, it really is not, okay? Last spring was everything was asynchronous. Students could sleep all day and work on their schoolwork all night long. That's not the plan this year, okay? That worked in some capacities last year, but it had a lot of weaknesses for students. And what needs to happen this school year is school needs to look like school again. And that looks like 7:30 to 2 o'clock for our kiddos, okay? So I had students reach out to me just this past week saying, hey, I'm gonna choose remote because I can keep my full-time job. And that's not the case, okay? Or we had some students say that, I'm gonna choose full remote so that I can watch my younger siblings. And I totally understand that need. I get it, especially with younger ones who are going every other day. But please understand that you have 4 classes a day where you have to log in and you have to be working. We have attendance. And if you're new to the high school, we have a strict attendance policy where if you are absent so many times, you lose course credit. So this does not look like last spring. This looks most like school, okay? So students have their 4 classes a day, okay? In the middle of the day is the time for students to have lunch and take a study break. A study break, they can access classroom support, teacher support, or get up and walk around and get off their computers, okay? If anybody has spent a day on Zoom, it's exhausting and we don't want that, okay? So we are using the GradPoint software, which is very much locked in on the computer, all right? I don't want any of my students, whether they're in the hybrid or the remote, I don't want them to be locked in on the computer all day long, all right? That's not healthy, all right? So that's what the Tuesday looks like. Wednesday's the exact same day. You're taking, this would be world history, let's call this algebra 1, let's call this biology, and let's call this English 9. So you have 2 days in a row of the same, okay? Why did we do that? It's so that the same Old Rochester teacher can supervise you, okay? And so we have teachers, some names that you may know from your time at Old Rochester: Miss Hall, Mr. Beeson, Mr. Barnacle, Miss Durgan. These are all people that will be working with you on GradPoint. Our librarian media specialist, Miss Barker. These are all people that will be working with you on GradPoint, okay? Because it can be very isolating if you're not engaged with someone else, okay? We do not want to lose sight of our students and their social emotional health and making relationships and connections with both peers and staff members, okay? So this is the schedule. Day 1 is Tuesday and Wednesday. Day 2 is Thursday and Friday. And that does mirror our hybrid schedule, okay? So our teachers that are supervising, like Miss Hall, she's got a foot in both worlds because she's teaching hybrid students, and then one block, she's assigned the remote students, and the same with Mr. Beeson. We have a brand new math teacher we hired this year from Dighton Rehoboth High School, Mrs. Cabral. She is gonna be a GradPoint supervisor in math. So that's kind of how we are. Jumping over to Monday. So just very quickly, we have a 7:30 to 1:50 school day with an hour for lunch. That is the remote school day, okay? On Monday, nothing's changed. It's a 7:30 to 1:50. However, we are going to work on 3 things on Mondays. We're going to have academic support by sign up. So students will be able to sign up for support. Say they're struggling in their AP biology class. They can sign up for academic support. Let's say they're struggling in math, okay? They can sign up for math help. So that's done on Monday. We will work with students on study and organizational skills because a lot of GradPoint is taking notes, is watching something on GradPoint and taking notes. We require notes for GradPoint. It's a requirement. Those notes are able to be used on tests and quizzes. So it's important that students develop good study and organizational skills in the GradPoint model. And then social emotional learning supports. We do not want kids to feel isolated, to feel lonely, to be home alone, to be home without an adult or another peer-to-peer relationship. So we want to build in those supports. So that's what Monday looks like. And this, as it is different than our hybrid schedule, but it's very, very similar. It's day one, that's what our hybrid kids are doing. Day two, that's what our hybrid kids are doing. And then Monday, they're doing something different. This models both plans pretty well. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to encourage you throughout to ask questions in the chat. There really is no bad questions. There's a lot of questions out there. But some of the things I wanted to talk about and make sure students understood was that students are taking quizzes on GradPoint. They're submitting work on GradPoint. They're receiving grades on GradPoint. Okay, school needs to look as close to school as possible. First question, will both cohorts be logging into GradPoint at the beginning of the block but switching off to a teacher Zoom for third? It's a good question. The cohort A logs in first and cohort B logs in second, so not at the same time. So there's two different logins for those students. Who is teaching the GradPoint courses? So GradPoint is its own platform. So students learn from a lesson plan that is already on there, loaded in. So sometimes it's watching a video, sometimes it's taking notes, sometimes it's watching demonstrations. GradPoint has come a long way in terms of their curriculum delivery. So the teacher is more of a supervisor. The Old Rochester teacher is a supervisor that can provide supports. So we've put all of our math students will be taking their math class with Mrs. Cabral, as she is the supervisor because she's a math teacher. How will summer work be handled? So summer work is a historical feature of our AP classes. So we will look at, once we've created those student schedules and lined them up with GradPoint, we'll look at, did students complete summer work prior to that? Are there teachers available in GradPoint to help with the struggle? Yes. So the primary response, so some of these questions, everybody, are done privately. So just if I'm jumping around, it's a private question that I will make public. Are there teachers available in GradPoint to help with the struggle? Absolutely, that's their job. So the teacher supervisor is available to provide help, and if they can't help, to find the help. Okay, so we've got one person supervising and coordinating. Okay, I'm a math teacher right now, and I don't know how to help you. All the math classes will be with the math teacher, but let's just say there's a biology question. The supervisor seeks out the biology help. Are there teachers? So there is no teacher interaction. The teacher interaction is at the beginning of the class in a Zoom like this, and students are working. And I would imagine that they will stay in the Zoom with their teacher supervisor, okay, throughout their duration of the time on GradPoint. How is lunch working in school? So there is no lunch for the remote is on their own. That seems more like a question for the hybrid plan. For lunch for the hybrid plan is a grab and go lunch in the cafeteria. If the schedule has a study, do they still Zoom? No, very good question. So students will have, so no one's gonna have 8 classes because they just don't, okay? So they will have a study built in. During that study, again, that's an opportunity. Some kids can stay on GradPoint if they want in their study and get ahead if they want and keep working. Otherwise, our GradPoint supervisors can help them find some support. These classes are self-paced. So we've seen kids over the years move very quickly through some classes. So if they finished a class and wanted to take something else, if they wanted to add an elective, those are opportunities for kids as well. So what happens in the second half hour in the learning block? So in the second half hour of the learning block, students can review notes with the supervisor. They can go and seek support from one of our high school teachers that is maybe in the hybrid schedule, or they can take a break because again, we don't want kids Zooming all day long. Would we do GradPoint while on a Zoom class? You could do GradPoint while you're Zooming. Yes, you can do GradPoint while you're Zooming. Can we it's a great question. Can we change our student to hybrid after starting remote learning? 100%. 100%. No one is locked into their learning selection. You can at any time switch from remote to hybrid, hybrid to remote. Okay, so that's and I expect that to happen with both sides. I expect some kids to not like the hybrid schedule, and I expect some kids to not like the remote schedule. Okay, and I expect kids to be moving. Are students able to learn at their own pace within GradPoint? Yes, and they do. So like just one example is our summer school. Summer school is 6 weeks. You can imagine the student in summer school is highly motivated to finish their summer work quickly. So some of our summer students have finished summer school in 4 weeks. Okay, so yes, it is self-paced. What happens on Monday if the student does not need help? How are they expected to spend their time? Well, depending on the level of work that they're in. So if they're in AP classes or honors classes, there will be work to be done. But if the student does not need help, they can continue to work. They can log in and keep working. Is there an option to get into a class not paced, i.e. anatomy and physiology? Is there an opportunity to get into a class not paced, not placed? I think we're lining up all of our classes. So I guess that question might be if they couldn't get into a class or something. We're going to try to get everybody into the classes that they selected. Are GradPoint courses considered equal to in-person learning by colleges? That's a very good question. So GradPoint courses do go on the transcript, okay, with a grade. All right, so GradPoint classes are on the transcript. So the college will know that when you're applying to college, they will know that you took the course, and they will know that you took it on GradPoint. Okay, but we've had a lot of experience with our students. Again, we've been using GradPoint for 13 years. Our students go to college. Do students in cohort B start later than cohort A? Yes, they do. What happens if students switches to hybrid and not feeling good? Can they remote to class on a day they're supposed to be in school? So if a student is in hybrid and they can't come to school because they're not feeling good, first and foremost, don't come to school. Stay home, please. And then if they're staying home, we're looking at, on a case by case, if we're looking at an extended period of time, then we would look to switch to a remote. If it's a hybrid learner that's only going to be out a couple days, then we're going to try to keep it just like it happens in a normal school year. We'll get your makeup work and things like that. We're really going to try to handle that case by case because every situation is going to be different. What about extracurriculars? I'm really glad. I should have mentioned this earlier. Remote learners are full students, full-time students. If we have sports, they can play sports. If they're in if we have clubs, they are in clubs. They have the opportunity for the full academic and extracurricular experience. So are these happening? At the moment, we are making decisions on athletics and an appropriate start time for our athletic offerings. Similarly, we are looking at our extracurriculars. I have challenged each of my club advisors. I've challenged them to create a opportunity that is safe for their club. So whether that is a virtual remote session like this, a video conference, or if I've challenged them, keep our kids engaged, keep our students with a full high school experience, which includes extracurricular. So please come up with things. I have had some really good ideas come in. We want kids to be doing things. Obviously, on campus initially it doesn't make a lot of sense for us. So in the first few weeks of school, we're looking to clear our campus at the end of the school day. What happens if school goes full remote? Very good question. If school goes full remote, meaning hybrid is shut down and the school's shut down and we need to go full remote, our remote learning students will stay in their GradPoint courses. And then our hybrid students, their courses will become remote with an old Rochester teacher. Why can't remote learners have the true with all the sports offered? So it's a staffing issue. Why can't remote learners have the true? So we have 80 students taking the remote plan. Okay, and so those 80 students each take 6 classes, and they don't take the same 6 classes. They're spread through the grade levels. So it is not possible for us to have a math teacher. So the 80 kids are taking 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 different math classes. So it's not possible for us to staff both that remote with a full-time teacher. We would then have to hire a full-time teacher because that high school teacher has their own caseload in the building. I get it. It would make the most sense to have a remote course taught by an old Rochester teacher. We're just not built that way. Why can't you live stream video classes every day, regardless of remote or hybrid? We're not equipped for live stream classes with cameras and tech support and all of those things. And our teachers are not equipped to teach a group in front of them and a group online and a group in the back of the classroom. We did not opt for that plan. Will students on IEPs be able to get help they need throughout the day? Yes, great question. Students on IEPs that opted for the remote plan will have full liaison support from their special education teachers. We also, one of the things I like about GradPoint is that it is easy to make accommodations and modifications to curriculum as would an IEP would call for. How many students are signed up for hybrid? Hybrid, let's see, what's 640 minus 80? So 660 and 80 and remote. The student is unfamiliar with GradPoint. Can they access that now to become familiar with it prior to class starting? I think that everyone is going to need to get familiar with GradPoint. And so we're not turning the access on just yet, but I promise a very proper and appropriate onboarding period for all of our students, because I would expect everybody to need to get acclimated to it. There are so many wonderful opportunities to support others in the community and beyond through remote activities. I think that that's what we're pushing our people to is let's continue to offer things remotely. Let's continue to no one got into education. None of us got into teaching to have lose connections with kids. So that's important to us. When I go on PowerSchool, I can't see my classes. I also tried and it doesn't work. Yes, so the remote classes are not in there yet. As I said, this week, we're going to be sitting down with our guidance counselors and we're going to create those GradPoint schedules for you so that you know what your day one, block one course is and you can follow that way. So no, it's not in PowerSchool yet, but that's a very good question and appropriate. Other questions for the chat? Is there a difference on a transcript, remote versus hybrid? The difference in the transcript is if you take a class on GradPoint, the transcript reflects GradPoint. So let's say you're taking Honors English 11. It would say Honors English 11 GradPoint. And then in our school profile, we explain on our school profile that during remote learning, our remote learning platform was GradPoint. Will seniors be missing out on everything this year? Oh, gosh, I hope not. None of us want a senior year full of just academics. Trust me on that. So we're trying very hard to give our seniors a full experience. I'm struggling with proper alternatives for their traditional Ned's Point trip, their homecoming dance, all of those things. So we're trying. Every school around is in the same boat here and trying to come up with great ways to do traditional things. We came up with a lot of creative ways to do the traditional things last spring. So I'm optimistic. I want to be in the business of saying yes to these senior events. So we will try to create these opportunities in a safe way. What happens if my student completes all of the assignments in GradPoint program before school is actually over? Nice job, first of all. Second of all, they can either take additional classes for enrichment or their school year is over. Which has happened before. I think I answered Sherry's question, but I'm not sure. What is required for screening students if they go to school? It's a home screening. It's not a school screening. Our school nurse will send that information out. Is there any negative impact from the college's perspective from using GradPoint? Will they carry less weight than in-person classes? That's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked it. Our guidance counselors since last spring have been engaged with college admissions officers to ask that very question. Whether it was last spring and the remote plan that we had last spring where we did not award grades for term 4, or it was this coming school year and the plans that we have for our students. And the question, and truly you need to hear this from me, and I'm speaking from the heart here, I would never want to do anything that would jeopardize our kids' chances at the college of their dreams, okay? So we believe that through our transcript and through our school profile, that we will be able to position our kids for their successes at college acceptance. What we need to do is we need to message to local colleges and whatever colleges, really, we need to message that here was what Old Rochester's learning plan was. And it's different than Wareham's, Dartmouth's, and if you just look around, every school is doing things differently during this time. So we need to message to those schools through our school profile, through our transcript, through our relationships with college reps and admissions officers that this was our plan. And this is how we thought our students could be best positioned. So I do not want to see that hurt kids. When will students get Chromebooks? I believe central office is pushing out the survey, I hope Tuesday. So what I'm referencing is that anyone that does not have their own device, whether you're hybrid or remote, the school will provide a school issued device. I just wish that it was sooner. And I understand that you're waiting. We're eagerly waiting. I've got 2 kids too in the school system. They're waiting for their Chromebooks as well. We all work for the course. Will all work for the course on GradPoint be accessible all at once? No. So it's sequential. Okay. So you have to study chapter 1 before you can get to chapter 2 is the best thing I could say. But some students may finish chapter 1 well before another student. So that's the self-paced thing. When you finish chapter 1, you can go to chapter 2. Going back to if they can finish ahead, are they required to continue? No, I understand your question. So if you finished, let's say you're taking your 7 classes or your 6 classes or whatever, and one of those 6 you're finished, you're done. You can replace it with an elective for enrichment. We've got some pretty cool enrichment electives that kids have taken that would look good on a transcript, perhaps. So you can either stop and you wouldn't have to log in. You've done it. You've got your credit. It's going on your transcript. So you wouldn't have to continue to log in. Good question, Jamie, about grades. Yes, you get letter grades. It's not pass-fail. Again, going back to last spring, we learned a lot about ourselves with the remote plan we had last spring. Pass-fail doesn't work for me. It's letter grades. And I think that's going to help the college transcript question, truthfully, because when a college sees pass-fail, do you know what they give the P? A 65. That's the passing grade. So we don't want colleges to do that. We want to issue letter grades. It's a very good question. Who gives the grade to the student? Is this through the supervisor, strictly through GradPoint? It's probably a blend. GradPoint will award a grade, and we will make sure that it's a accurate reflection of the work done. Do the remote kids get to look at different classes, given that GradPoint offers so many? Our first task, it's a good question. Our first task was to line up what they chose for in a normal year, what they chose on their course selection card. But if they're in a class and they say, hey, I'm not interested in this class anymore, or my situation's changed, they can change their classes. We'll give them the booklet. They can look through all of the courses that are being offered. We're doing this within the hybrid schedule as well. All of our students selected classes in March of last year. Boy, we'll never forget March of last year, okay? The world has changed. So we're allowing our students an add drop period. That will extend to the remote students as well, an add drop period if this isn't working out for them and they want to change their courses. Is the screening home process online? How does the school communicate? Student gets a virus, is there a protocol? Yes, all of those things will be communicated by our school nurse, who is terrific. Does GradPoint offer AP course level classes? Yes. We do have AP classes on GradPoint. Can classes be changed to a college credit class if not chosen in March? Yes, you can change your courses if you didn't choose them in March. Yes, I think I understood that. Other questions? These are great. Heard kids' classes schedules will change and we'll get new schedule on October. No, school starts September 16th. They can change their schedules up until October 1st. Does that mean that the passing grades our kids got this past year registered as 65 to colleges? No, our transcripts from this past school year did not have a pass and a fail. Our transcripts from this past year had a letter grade, but the grade was based on term 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Can you explain what all the time between blocks is for? Are they just not expected to be on Zoom, but will still be on Grad? They can be, but we felt like it was important to get off of the computer, to be honest, and to not spend too much time on the computer. When will GradPoint schedule? I hope this week, actually very soon. Definitely this week, but I keep thinking that there's work tomorrow and school tomorrow. Like I'm going to be the only one here tomorrow working, but as soon as I get other people in here, we'll get those schedules together. So if kids, I get the question. A lot of kids, when they signed up for courses, were thinking it was a certain way, but I think anatomy and physiology done differently on GradPoint than if you were sitting in the class. Very, very different. I totally understand that. So my understanding is that we can make that change easy, either to a different science or to an elective or something of that. That's not a problem at all. Are guidance counselors available to assist with schedule changes via phone? And if so, when? Well, first we're going to sit down and create them. Then we will enable them on PowerSchool so that kids can see them on PowerSchool, and we can make any changes at any time. Are you doing another session like this for hybrid? Yes, tomorrow night at what time did I say tomorrow night? I have to look at my schedule. I'm living one day at a time here. Yes, tomorrow night I will get that Zoom link out. Tomorrow is kind of a free-for-all. We'll have time for hybrid and time for remote and time for you to throw things at the computer because it's so frustrating, because I'm frustrated too. If a student changes to hybrid, how will you fit them into their appropriate classes? We'll treat the student that switches to hybrid. I'm thinking we treat them like we treat a transfer student. Whenever a student transfers into our school, we line up their classes that they were taking. We see what we can offer them here, and we put them in, and we understand that not everything is going to be aligned completely, but we'll do the best we can. If a student looked at the GradPoint curriculum and wanted to do a science class that was more interesting, that would be no problem. Correct. Guidance facilitates this. Correct. Yes. How is Jim dealt with your full remote? Are we keeping track? So initially, our fall GradPoint courses, there are phys ed courses available, but we're going to opt for second semester for those. So no one, I don't think when we sit down and make the schedules, anyone's going to have a phys ed class first semester. Mass general law says they got to have it once a year. Our students typically take them just for one semester. Did you consider school hours through 12 and lunch is at home? I think that's what Wareham High is doing, where their kids are just taking classes in the morning and then going home with their lunch at home. We did consider that, but because of busing and transportation and sharing buses with the rest of the school district, it was not feasible. We did consider it. Trust me, we considered everything. And if we didn't, you put it here, I will get my committee back together ASAP. We're always processing good ideas. How many kids are using buses? I have no idea off the top of my head. I punted that job over to my assistant principal, Miss Harvey. She's doing a great job on buses. If a student looked at the GradPoint curriculum, I already answered that. Yes. About 80, 79, 80. What are bus companies doing to sterilize? They have their own. I wouldn't want to speak out of turn about what the bus companies are doing. I know they have their own protocols to follow. You can email me and I can put you in touch with the company if you want. So how do kids sign in on Mondays? So Mondays, if students have been to our school before, Mondays are going to be facilitated by Miss Barker, who's our library media specialist. So we're going to be crafting with her what Mondays are going to look like. I think just initially for Mondays that they would have access to their GradPoint classes, but we do want give them opportunity beyond GradPoint with some. So let's say a kid's taking AP US History on GradPoint. I would like an opportunity for that student to access our AP US History teacher in our school, Dr. Carroll. So those are some things we're trying to facilitate for Monday. How do you see the other available class? How do you see the other available classes? We can send out the updated course catalog for sure to all of our GradPoint learners. There's a lot of really cool classes on a number of different levels. If there's any rising freshmen, either students or parents on here, I want you to know that this is not a typical start to the school year. I'm most used to an awesome freshman orientation. I'm most used to, I meet with about 60 to 70% of all rising freshmen in the summer leading into their freshman year for a half hour with their families to give a personal orientation. I just want, this is not what we're used to. And it's a bummer for me. Should my child be looking into what GradPoint is now or wait until the schedule comes out? Yep. What is SEL support about? SEL support is an opportunity for kids to access our counseling team to talk about, some different things that they're dealing with. My concern in the full remote is a lack of interaction with peers. Okay. That's the beauty of the hybrid schedule for me, is that kids have access to their peers. So I don't want kids to be isolated at home. So those are the SEL supports that I'm hoping to embed into Monday. You need to feel connected to your high school. Any other questions? One thing we learned last spring was that some kids thrived in the home learning. Truly, some kids truly thrived. And so different models work best for different kids. So I think that some students will do just fine and do well and even thrive. Some students really struggle coming into a building. Think about your own high school experiences. It can be hard at times, and some kids find comfort in their own environment. So I am judgment free. I'm glad we're able to offer plans for kids and support kids. Will parents get a copy of their schedules, student schedules on GradPoint? Yes. Pick up bunch 12. Who is teaching the study and organizational skills on the Zoom platform? That will be done through our library media specialist, Ms. Barker. Will the supervising teachers be able to check in to make sure work is being completed? Yes. They have access to the student's GradPoint. They can see what the kids are doing. As far as I know, the plan is for food pickup in front of the high school as we did last spring. As far as I know, yes. I believe that it's been extended till December. Will paperwork, form, and packets be shipped? Yes. Yes, I was thinking of that the other day, or we could probably slide those over to an online form of some kind. It would be a heck of a lot easier. Do parents have access to the GradPoint platform similar to PowerSchool? No, they would. They do not, but they can certainly see their kids log in. They can log in with their kids. Last call. Who should be contacted if there's a technical issue? That's a really good question. So the technical issues, there could be technical issues through GradPoint, and we call those flags. And so our staff will be trained to clear flags. Beyond that, if there's a technical issue in the home, they would just call the school, so we know that something's up, and we shouldn't expect them to be on GradPoint that day. Will remote learners have their grades listed on PowerSchool? I haven't thought of that. I think they should. That's a good one. I'll have to look into that. It's a very good question. Will students log into GradPoint with their regular school login? I don't know how they log in, to be honest. I think they'll log in with their school email address and then get a password. But that'll be part of our onboard period. Summer reading, how do remote learners submit any assignments in regards to summer reading? I will probably push that question over to our English teachers. As I said, there are 2 English teachers that are GradPoint supervisors, Mr. Beeson and Ms. Hall. I will make sure that they get that out to students. Keep reading. If a vaccine becomes available, will the nurse administer it? I don't know. That's a nice problem to have, I think. Our nurse used to give me the flu shot, so I don't know.
Like, of course, they're worried about your health.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap up. Last call.
What's the procedure if a student is diagnosed?
Last call for a question, anybody? Okay, well, I thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time tonight. There are tons of good questions. There will be more good questions. There'll be more opportunities for this type of a format, so please stay engaged. We'll try to stay engaged with all of you. And if you were a parent tonight, getting this message to your kids is awesome. If you're a student here, I hope that this answers some of the questions that you have. We will send this recording out so that the entire school community has access. Enjoy the long weekend, everybody. Have a great night. Thank you.